an idea of who I'm talking to now. I take it all of you listen to the Pele Report. Is anybody not familiar with my work or the Pele Report? Okay, that's good. Then we have a good start. This is a 2-hour Pele Report. Just so you know. Okay, and then out of that, we could say, I'm sure you all know your sun sign. How many of you know your moon sign? Uh-huh. And how many of you know the degree of your Venus? Uh-huh. Okay. And how many of you read charts for people? Do we have any astrologers that do chart readings for people? Okay. Okay. Wonderful. Wonderful. Great. Well, then I'm just going to bump it up. None of this beginner stuff around here. One more thing. How many of you are familiar with Rudolf Steiner and anthroposophy, spiritual science? He was okay, I see. All right, well, we may venture a little forward into, he was a clairvoyant that lived in the early 1900s, born in Austria, lived in Germany, and really started a whole, he was with the Theosophical Society, and Annie Besant, and the whole, and then he broke free from that and started his own, and he just gave lectures on everything that anyone would ask him about, whether it was school, he came up with Waldorf education, farming, he came up with biodynamic farming, architecture, the Gospels around Christianity. I mean, he just would give lectures on astronomy and science, and anything that anybody wanted to know about, he just tapped in and brought through a lot of very pertinent information. And he also talked quite a bit about what's coming, and the nature of humanity, the nature of spiritual science. So I may be referring to a little bit of what he spoke of, because these are times that he spoke of. Yeah, I want to just be clear that we're going through kind of an initiation, that this time was foretold, like he lived 100 years ago. And he said 100 years from now, they will develop a vaccine that will inhibit or stop people from connecting to the soul spiritual world. Yeah, and there are anthroposophical doctors that actually have been working with people that have received these mRNA vaccines, and they are not open. Yes, the crown chakra and the ability to really go into meditation and tap into higher spiritual realms has been, really hindered. So that's one thing that he spoke of. And another aspect that he spoke of was an entity, spiritual entity called Ahriman. And Ahriman was part of the Zarathustra in the ancient Zoroastrian mysteries. Spoke of Ahriman, somewhat like Lucifer, Satan, Ahriman, as this dark energy, dark force. And the thing is that we want to really consider that there are these two forces that man is in the middle of. And one is Lucifer, and the other is Ahriman. And this Luciferic force is warm, fantasy, juicy, luscious, excarnating, dreamlike fantasy that wants to just pull us out into la la land. Where was Michael Jackson? Never Never Land. Yeah. And on the other side, Ahriman. Ahriman is hard and cold, calculating, materialistic, super intelligent, you have this, condensed, sharp, ice cold energy. And so here is humanity, poised between, these two, like hot and cold, spread out, illusion and hard, concrete, solid, matter and intelligence versus fantasy and imagination. So, it's like, we are right here, and it's our kind of role, in our evolutionary development to center, to remain in the center and to not be pulled out of ourselves, okay, into, la la land, and then not to also be drawn tightly down into materialistic, no spirit, no love, no, just hard nails, rocks. So we play this role in the universe of really balancing, these polarities. I talked about a little bit in the Pele Report today. I don't know if you had a chance to see it, but we have this polarity. You can see this polarity coming up right now. Pluto in opposition to Mars, okay? And these are both exactly square to Jupiter. So I'm looking at this, really, we're working with polarity, right, at this particular point and this time in history. So let me just get a little bit about, these transits that are going on now. I usually start out with the big cycles and then get smaller. And what I found after giving a few of these talks is that I get so excited and I get so lost in the big cycles that I never really do get down to Venus and Mars and the moon and what's coming on in the next few months. Because I'm all in the big picture. So I'm going to try to streamline it a little bit, okay? And just kind of say some things that you probably already know that we can just shoot right through, yeah? I mean, we all know that we're entering the age of Aquarius. I mean, I don't know how much I need to talk about it, but, I'll talk about it a little bit. But first, maybe let's give a little bit of a background for this, because what's important is that we start with 1. Let's start with 12. Pisces, yes? The age of Pisces. Jesus Christ, I am the Alpha and the Omega. He was a double Pisces. Okay, the beginning and the end. Infinite potential. No time, no space, no boundaries. Spiritual love, oneness, unity. Okay, just, all things come together. Out of this infinite potential emerges in springtime, right? We can even go with the seasons of the year, a seed, a desire, an impulse, a new evolutionary intention. So the seed is sown with this Aries. And it's unconscious, instinctive, impulsive, automatic. Who's got some Aries? It's just kind of, try that. Go, Okay, and then out of that, it comes, into Taurus. So fixed earth, yes, solid, deep, the seed goes into the ground, and then it starts to spread out in Gemini, air, mutable air. The roots start spreading, networking, connecting, getting to know your local neighbors and everything like that. And then it comes home to roost in the water sign of Cancer. So these first 4 are kind of unconscious, instinctive, impulsive, kind of just like the beginning, right, of this impulse and this intention. And then it dies in the water sign of Cancer. And out of that water sign of Cancer comes personal, individual self-consciousness. And in that self-consciousness, right, then that self-consciousness develops through Earth, Virgo, comes through, and now after these first 6 months, after this lower half of the zodiac, this is subjective inner personal development. We have this kind of initiation into relationship. And that relationship is enough to kill us. That's Scorpio. So you have kind of unconsciousness, dies to give birth to self-consciousness, evolves in through relationship, and self-consciousness dies in order to give birth to transpersonal consciousness. And transpersonal, so this is religion and philosophy and the bigger picture, and trying to explain all the therapy you had to go through in Scorpio. We come to the meaning of life. and then we come into governments and authority figures, external authority and form and institutions. And then this expands into global institutions and science and technology and the future and extraterrestrials. And it's all getting bigger, bigger, bigger until we come back to cosmic consciousness. So unconscious, self-conscious, transpersonal conscious, cosmic conscious. And then, it kind of goes back, and I'll say it doesn't go back to the same place. It's not really a circle. It's more like a spiral, right? Where when it comes around, you have more consciousness. So each one of these archetypes, we can say, you can say immature Aries and mature Aries. Immature Cancer, mature Cancer. Immature Scorpio, mature Scorpio. But we could really say there's like 100 octaves, right? From the lowest frequency, primal, unconscious, impulsive, energy to the most refined, spiritual, mystical, meditative, they're all over the internet. Oh, God. Okay, yeah. So we get this idea, and you can see Pluto, right? Saturn and Neptune, they're ending. They're ending. They're coming around. So we can say this is the starting point, right? And so Neptune is ending a 165-year cycle. Saturn is ending a 28-year cycle in 2026. We'll talk about that, what's coming, okay? Pluto is ending a 248-year cycle. This is going to be 2044 and 2068. So by 2068, we're going to have a new Pluto cycle. Okay, so we want to talk about these three because they're ending, right? And Chiron, Jupiter, Uranus, they're just kind of starting out with their cycles. And so those are new. So this is the thing. It's like big slow cycles with super fast cycles, and some are beginning and some are ending, and it's like one wave is coming over and the other wave is going out. And so that's what's so cool about astrology is like it shows all this stuff going on at the same time. So all you have to do is decipher it. Yeah. So one thing that we want to consider, it's not here on the floor, but we are moving out of this age of Pisces into the age of Aquarius. And that is due to the wobble of the Earth. So Polaris was not always the North Star. 5,000 years ago, Fomalhaut was the North Star. So the Earth is actually like a gyroscope, okay, going around. And so what happens is the springtime, equal day and equal night, the spring equinox, okay, that's moving, okay, as the whole Earth, does its whole big 26,000 year cycle, right? It's called the precession of the equinox. And it moves 1 degree every 72 years. It's just about a lifetime. Yeah. So, one of our lifetimes is a degree in the zodiac. Okay. So, what it's been doing, it's been moving a degree every 72 years through Pisces, okay, since around the time of Christ. And 30 degrees times 72 years, guess what? Kadoing, kadoing, right here. It's right here. Right. Well, it could be there. Oh, it could be there. This is the problem, right? You can't really say where Pisces stops and where Aquarius begins. It's not like there's some line out there in the, in the star. So it's called the cusp, right? We're on this cusp. And I say, give it 250 years, maybe 500 years. Because if it's 2,000 years, you could break it into, 250 and 250. So maybe 1776 up to 2250, right? 1750 to 2250 is about 500 years. That is kind of what I feel. Obviously 1776 was the birth of the United States, has the moon in Aquarius, okay, and has Uranus on the ascendant, which is the ruler of Aquarius, which is very science, technology, liberated, enlightened, impersonal. We'll talk more about this whole archetype of Aquarius that we are moving into collectively, yeah? And so what I say is we are the midwives, we are the forebearers of this age of Aquarius. Our children's 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 will probably live in the age of Aquarius. We're just kind of, it's crowning right now, and we're pushing, but I wouldn't say that this is the age of Aquarius. We're just kind of, we're at the edge. We're at the edge. And what does that mean for each of us personally, individually, or collectively? And that is that we're coming out of the dream. We're coming out of the innocent sheep following, the priests or the rabbis or the wise ones or the masters and the authorities, and we're just going along innocently hoping, praying, believing, trusting, and sleeping. These are all characteristics of Pisces, yeah? And we're coming into Aquarius, which is electricity, science, technology. It's the third eye. It's the observer, the witness that is awake. So I say it's the hairdryer in the bathtub, okay? It's the alarm going off, okay? It's like, wake up, wake up, wake up, wake up. So it's no more illusions. Neptune, the ruler of Pisces, rules illusions as well as dreams and fantasies, okay? Which is also music, art, dance, and poetry. I don't want to give it a hard time. You have this whole spectrum, okay, of experience going on, because Pisces and the 12th house and Neptune have to do with the spiritual world. And in that spiritual world, we have to kind of look at it differently than we do with our ego, because our ego is not connected so to the spiritual world. We've got the spiritual world, which is the law of one, where there is no wrong or right. Good, bad, plus, minus, day, night. No. It's just love. It's just unity. It just is. Everything just is. It's quantum physics. Out of this spiritual world of one comes the individual soul. And the individual soul comes into the body when we draw in our spiritual prana breath. We draw in prana, we draw in spirit. They cut that cord. That's your birth chart. That's the spirit coming into the body as a soul that reincarnates from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime to lifetime and gives itself an ego. So we have a unique ego every lifetime. You don't have the same ego you had in your last life, and it's not going to be the same ego you've got in your next life. Your soul, it remains from lifetime to lifetime to lifetime, but the body goes and the ego goes with it. It's the ego's job to keep the body alive. So the ego lives in separation. Not this Pisces, we're all one, love, unity, quantum physics, la, 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 la. No, that's my money, that's my car, that's my kids, that's my wife, that's my, me, right? So this ego, its job is to keep the body alive. So it has its role, it has its place. But the problem is that sometimes we can confuse our identity, who we are, with that ego. And the ego is restricted and limited to this. Now we come into Newtonian physics. Plus, minus, good, bad, right, wrong, good, evil, heaven and hell, Lucifer, Ahriman, Jesus, and whatever, heaven and hell. You get all into this polarity. So what I'm saying is, on one level, there is no evil. When you're in Pisces, and you're in the fifth dimension, the sixth dimension, the 10th dimension, there is no polarity. There is no heaven and hell. There is no good and evil. But when you come into the third dimension of physical matter, of time and space, there's karma, there's consequences, there is good and evil. And good is basically what? Life supporting. And evil is life annihilating. So there are beings, there are people, there is a evil intelligence that wants to annihilate the human experience, the human ego, humanity. It's a very real, we have some spiritual, entities that have that intention, yeah? So we have this good and evil happening, and it's right now, it's very interesting that Rudolf Steiner talked about this time period in particular as the incarnation of Ahriman. And that Lucifer incarnated 900 years before Christ. Christ incarnated, and now it is to be Ahriman that is incarnating. And so this is a birthing, not just of this age of Aquarius, but this is a whole birthing of something that humanity needs to confront, that humanity needs to face, that we as a species, really need to become aware of another dimensional realm within creation. And so we have all incarnated at this particular time in order to experience this change and this evolutionary development that is happening here on planet Earth. And so we can say that the forces of Ahriman, that the forces of this very, very powerful spiritual being are seeking to hijack the future of humanity for his own ends and his own purposes. And it becomes our task these days to be very conscious and to be very aware so that we can maintain freedom, so that we can maintain a free future, so that we can maintain a different evolutionary path. Some are calling it a different timeline. I don't know if you're familiar with, these different timelines that they're speaking of now. But some call it the Judgment Day, yes, where there's, part of humanity that's going to go this way, and part of humanity that's going to go that way. There's part of humanity that's going to be going down, and there's another part of humanity that's going to be waking up. So there is this kind of a split happening now, and we can see it happening. We can see this polarity occurring now, okay, between those that they call conspiracy theory. Just think of it, conspiracy theory. Well, if that's not higher than the pessimistic realist, yeah, we've got the pessimistic realists, attaching to matter and physical science and pharmaceutical drugs and robots and transhumanism in order to seek, immortality through matter, right? I mean, the intention here with Neuralink, okay, and with, so much of what is occurring now with the transhumanism movement, it is that what we would normally and have in the past seek to develop our spiritual life, our spiritual inner practice, to gain consciousness outside of time and space. This is what nirvana is. This is what samadhi is. This is what the mystical yogis have been meditating and moving, into these higher dimensional realms, okay, even while they are still in their physical body. So this is meditation. This is yoga. This is the breath work and, all these different techniques that have been used, for thousands of years. Hi, welcome. Great. So now we have this, we have this kind of a split is what I'm talking about between, those that, and the important thing that I want to just bring, here tonight, as we move into this age of Aquarius, which is going to be lasting for 2,000 years. And we now have the planet Pluto. Pluto symbolizes the force of evolution. And this force of evolution, okay, moves around every 248 years. And it has been forcing the evolution of Capricorn since 2008. And I think we can all remember the financial crisis that occurred as the force of evolution said, guess what? It's time to evolve new forms of physical financial security, of authority, of institutions, of governments, of, who we look up to and who's controlling, and making the laws, boundaries, and rules and mandates for us to follow. And so since 2008, Pluto has been moving through Capricorn. And I am sure that what you can sense if you just read the newspaper or watch the news now is that we have nation states that are now submitting to an international control. Whether you call it the United Nations, the World Health Organization, the World Economic Forum, or just simply the few number of billionaires that run Vanguard and BlackRock, which are these massive. Basically, BlackRock has $31 trillion. It's richer than any country. So we have these corporations, okay, that are now more powerful than governments, right? And they're international, they're multinational. So even though we have these little national governments, even the EU, yes, the EU is kind of, really doing more, okay, and having a greater impact, I'm sure, right, on the individual countries within the Union. So you can see that Capricorn, which is national, is moving towards international. And I think over the next 20 years, Pluto is in Aquarius, okay, until 2044, okay, we're going to see more and more globalization, more and more of the whole political structure moving towards this world, whether it's the Davos or the G7 or the, So I think, we can see a whole shift and change happening with there. Now, of course, for our workshop this weekend, we'll see where is, Pluto right now in your chart. Because this is happening not just globally, okay, but it's happening for us as individuals. And what I want to, really bring forward for that is on a personal level, Aquarius is the archetype of rebellion, of revolution, of stepping outside the conventional, established norm into the future, into something new. I associate Uranus with Prometheus, the light bearer. Yes? Yes, and this third eye awakening, the pineal gland, right? And so we have this, revolutionary, power. And it goes one of three ways. Yes? So this stepping, this stepping outside of the established norm works in one of three ways, and we'll see that different people respond to it in one of three ways. And you will respond to it in one of three ways. One way, okay, is to fear, have great fear of the unknown and change and the future and science and technology. So it's like, you know what? I'm going to Costa Rica. I'm going to join a permaculture community. I'm going to grow food, and I'm going to let all the rest of you die. No. But there is kind of the Luddite or the Amish or, different groups of people that want to withdraw. They want to go back to simpler times, let go of technology, let go of, all this wacko weird stuff, right? And they just want to retreat. So that's one reaction to this evolutionary change that's happening. And then the second one, okay, is to not have as much fear, but to still be afraid, okay, and to break into subcultures or subgroups so that you get together, okay, like the punk rockers or, the gothic or the, you get together with a group of like-minded souls so you're not alone, okay, and you're outside the mainstream, but you're with this, group of the anti-vaxxers could be a subculture. All right, we've got the, the different, the LGBTQ plus, subculture. The, you can see it splitting up now. There's more subcultures happening every day. It's amazing, right? And then the third is to, what my teacher Jeffrey Green says, become a, basically, a group of one. Come into my truth, my source, my light, my awareness, my consciousness, and liberate from this, from the influence and the teaching or the manipulating or the exploiting or the persuasion of all these other forces that are trying to draw, use, or, abuse me. I'm going to, So this is this Uranian force that's happening. Uranus is the ruler of Aquarius. It is the process of individuation. And it's moving through the sign of Taurus. So here we have Uranus, right in between the Moon and Mercury for tonight's talk. Yes, Uranus, yeah. I always liken it to the Starship Enterprise. So anyway, it does have to do, okay, like I say, it is the ruler of Aquarius. It goes around every 84 years, and it is, you should probably remember, what? When it was 30, 60, 90, that's when you were 21. Yeah? And then, 120, 150, 180, that's when you were 42. You might remember that. And some of you, I don't know, you may get up to 63. Yes. Okay. And then I say, if you make it to live to be 84, your Uranus return, you're liberated. You're free. That's right when my dad died. And my mom too. It was, right at their Uranus return, they left the body. Yeah. So anyway, it goes through a sign every 7 years. So it's, it comes through and revolutionizes, ups the bar. It's science and technology and brilliant new ideas and the genius within each one of us and within, science and technology and everything coming up with new inventions and innovations. So it's always about raising the bar. Raising the bar. So it's in the sign of Taurus from 2018 until 2025. We have this 7-year period, right, from 2018 to 2025, where, we have a couple more years here of Uranus in Taurus. This year, it's going from 15 degrees to 23 degrees. So if you have any planets from 15 to 23 of Taurus, Scorpio, Aquarius, or Leo, okay, you're getting a Uranus transit. Show of hands, anybody? Uranus as the personal unconscious, it gets projected outside of us, and we tend to experience sudden, unpredicted events happening to us, even though it's our own unconscious that is creating it so that we individuate, become more enlightened, and get in touch with our genius. So Uranus comes through the sign of Taurus, and it may be aspecting your planets. We'll look at it this weekend. But let's look at Taurus, because now it's doing it for Taurus, for everybody. And it's not only Uranus. As you can see now, Jupiter is going into Taurus today, right? Okay. And Mercury is stationing direct right there at 5 degrees Taurus to, this week. The sun, we're going to have a new moon in Taurus tomorrow, right? We're going to have boom, boom. There we go. There's tomorrow. It's great. The north node of the moon is in Taurus from January of 2022 until July 18th. Yes? July 18th, it's going to go into Aries. So we have this north node of the moon. We have Uranus, Jupiter coming in. I mean, it's just like, what the heck is going on? Anybody a Taurus in here? No wonder you're here. Good thing you came by. So, what is this? This Taurus, we talked about it, right? It's the second sign. It's fixed Earth. And Aries is this impulse, the spark, the fire. And Taurus, it takes that fire, and the fire, the spark, the impulse, needs to survive in the physical world. So Taurus is this fixed Earth. I call it Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Cardinal, fixed, mutable. Brahma, Vishnu, Shiva. Yeah? Vishnu is sustain, maintain, build up. gather, survive, not just survive, it's the squirrel gathering nuts to survive through the winter. So Taurus is about gathering. It's ruled by Venus, Aphrodite. It is the feminine quality of receiving. And and we have that feminine quality of receiving when we what? Unconditionally love ourselves. Everybody go like this. This is ideal Taurus. I love myself. I'm very valuable. I deserve excellent compensation. My time is very valuable because I am very valuable, and my talents and skills and capacities are very valuable, and so I live in the lap of luxury. I live in downtown Athens. I bought a pair of shorts over there for 45 euros yesterday. It's like, oh my God. The most expensive pair of shorts I ever bought in my life. I could have bought a whole pair of pants. Anyway, we won't get, too specific, but just get this idea here, right? That Uranus moving through Taurus is raising the bar. And we are becoming more awake and more aware of our need to survive and to value ourselves and to love ourselves and to maybe raise our rates as a result. Also to develop new sources of income, new ways of raising food, new ways of, community-supported agriculture, working together with groups in order to, go maybe outside the system. What's happening with the system? Well, the system is getting what? CBDCs. Yes, digital currency. Cryptocurrency, digital currency, okay, facial recognition, the whole banking system. And of course, now we can see BRICS happening, okay, with the China and South Africa and Brazil and everybody getting together, to come up with a new currency. The United States, the US dollar, okay, which has been the world currency for about a Pluto cycle, which is very interesting because it almost coincides with this Pluto. The U.S. just had its Pluto return. Pluto was at, I think, 27 degrees 32 minutes of Capricorn in 1776 when the United States was born. And Pluto is going retrograde right back to around 2732, this year. So Pluto is going back and forth. It's really not all the way into Aquarius until November of 2024. It does this 5 so anyway, right now it's there. So what are we saying here? We're saying obviously that Uranus destabilizes. It comes in, and wherever you have it in your chart, if you've got Uranus going through your 7th house, your relationships are not stable. If you've got it going through your 2nd house of money, your money's not stable. If you've got it going through your 1st house, your identity is not stable. If you've got it going through your 10th house, your job is not stable. Because Uranus comes in, okay, and it destabilizes. It shakes everything up. It rocks the boat. Yeah, and it makes you, embrace new, different management techniques, we could say. This isn't working the way it always worked. I think I need to try something new. I think I need to try something different. I think I need to experiment. Uranus is the planet of experimentation. So what are they doing? Eating bugs. Growing fake meat. I mean, they're experimenting with the food supply, right? We're experimenting with the banking system. We're, the supply chains are all shifting and changing. I mean, we're, it's really, so this is going to remain unstable for 2 more years. right, until Uranus moves out of Taurus. I mean, Uranus and Taurus just, they're not happy bed partners. I mean, Taurus hates Uranus. I mean, it's fixed Earth. It's like, I don't want to change. It's like, ah! So Uranus comes in like a bolt of lightning. Well, guess what? So much for so much for personal comfort. Yeah. What we can say is that over the 7-year period of time, there will be a very big, and that's the thing, what I find difficult to deal with is that Uranus is raising the bar. I mean, it's upgrading. It's improving things. I mean, right now, I am not a supporter of digital currency. I think it's another means of them controlling the currency and being able to shut us off from our bank accounts if we don't buy what they want us to buy or do what they want us to do, or it's just giving government, the opportunity of saying, oh, boom, we got your money now. We can just flip a switch and you got no money. I mean, so, for me, I have a certain, I don't want to say paranoia, but, I'm not real comfortable with the digital currency, with the facial recognition, with this whole idea of the vaccine passport, the QR code, that we're each going to, and they're going to be keeping track of our vaccine status and our financial status. I mean, kind of like China, the whole social credit system. It feels to me like the whole world is moving towards the social credit system. But the problem that I see here is that I'm an astrologer. and Pluto is the force of evolution. So even though I think that this movement from national to international governments, I mean, I see it as scary. I don't want the World Health Organization running, the laws and making, decrees and mandates and everything. I mean, those people are not voted for. The World Economic Forum, nobody voted for those guys. So to me, it's like shifting a lot of power into the hands of people who have no accountability to the population. So to me, I'm not comfortable with that, okay? And yet, astrology tells me that this is evolution, right? And the same with this Uranus going through here. I don't want to eat bugs. I don't want digital currency. I don't want a lot of the shit that I see happening coming on here, I don't want to plug myself into a computer, I mean, so all we can really say at this point is that we are in a state of transition. And hindsight is 2020. And what's going on now may look very scary. It could be very tedious. It could be very confining, very limiting. Could be, just this whole kind of, fear-based thinking that, we are going to, turn into a science fiction, nightmare series, the Twilight Zone, But what we have to do here is, and this is, what I really want to talk about, and this is what, brings me to Saturn and Neptune moving through Pisces. And this is now Saturn. Saturn is going up to 7 degrees 31 minutes, okay? June 17th, it's going to go retrograde, and it's going to go back to 0 degrees. And then it's going to go direct in October, I think, and move forward again. And next year it's going to go up into the 20s and go retrograde. And then it's not really going to be until July of 2025. Yeah, that Saturn goes into Aries, okay? And then it goes retrograde into Pisces. So it's really not until 2026. So it's almost 3 years.
we have 3 years of Saturn moving through Pisces. And we have 14 years of Neptune. Neptune will also be moving out of Pisces into Aries in 2025. Yeah? So what is this, I want to really talk about this, because this is the very important aspect that will offset, that will serve to balance, that will ease, okay, the transition from, kind of this, how can I say, well, the Great Reset, the Industrial Revolution that's happening right now, yeah? I mean, they call it an Industrial Revolution. It's basically a new society that is being birthed right now, yeah? And what we can also understand is that part of this Aquarian society, the science and technology and globalization and corporate, government interworking and interweaving, okay, that is Aquarius, is opposite Leo. And if we look at the last 2,000 years, the age of Pisces, the shadow was Virgo. Whatever is opposite the age that you're in is the shadow. So we had Virgo. What's Virgo? The powerful, integrated, feminine energy that does not need a man to complete her. She is intelligent, grounded, powerful, and another word for witch is wise woman. Virgo is wise woman. And we know what they did to wise women during the age of Pisces. Yeah? Okay? So you can see that, if you worked with herbs and you worked with medicine and you were a medicine woman and you were helping people with organics and and your god, was, more, pagan, or the Druids, or, just kind of working with nature, right? More so than the church and these religious institutions, you were a threat. Now we're moving into this age of Aquarius. And look, what the opposite is Leo. Leo is the autonomous, sovereign, right? I am the king. I am the queen. I create my own reality. I'm a force of life. I'm an agent of life. I am powerful. I am ruled by the sun. I am the light. Well, Aquarius, that's going to be, it's like if you, and you can see it already happening in very many social circles. You put on a mask, wear a mask for COVID, not for yourself, but for everybody else. And do your social distancing and stand away from other people, not, and don't be so selfish. You have to, for the good of the group, for the good of society, for the good of your neighbors, you need to conform to our standards instead of doing your own thing in your own time, in your own way. And it's kind of a slap, 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 slap to the individual who is now supposed to submit to the group. Yeah? And we're going to see this over these next 2,000 years. It's going to be individuals who think they're hot stuff, right? Who are going to get chopped into little pieces if you go against the group, right? It's really something. So what we want to focus on at this time, and I think I started out a little bit with this, with the spiritual science, with anthroposophy, with Rudolf Steiner, speaking about this being a time, okay, where the tendency or the desire on the part of the harmonic forces is to, rob humanity of a spiritual experience. Pisces is a spiritual experience.
Neptune moving through Pisces. This is also a time where we can see very many things changing with science and technology and money and, you know, all the discoveries and the robots and the drones and, you know, so many, you know, comforts. Yeah. You know, Amazon delivers, you know, worldwide or whatever. You know, I mean, you can get you know, you don't have to go shopping anymore. You know, my sister-in-law just orders everything online and they deliver it. You know, it's like, oh yeah, I'd like that. Next day, there it is. You know, oh, I'd like that. Oh, next day, there it is. I mean, it's like, ho, 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 ho. So, you know, I mean, so we do have, okay, a lot of things changing there. But what we want to understand is that Neptune is opening the crown chakra. It is allowing extrasensory perception. We are all becoming more sensitive. We're becoming thin-skinned. And that thin skin allows us to be more perceptive. We are becoming more sensitive. Psychically, mentally, emotionally, and physically. You may be allergic to things that you were not allergic to before, okay? And you may not be able to handle emotions that you could handle before. And psychological stress and anxiety, you know, that things bother you now that didn't bother you before. I mean, it's like there is this whole kind of, like, whether we're ready or not, Pisces is saying we are one. And we are opening up psychically. Our subtle bodies, our astral bodies, okay, you know, the boundaries, our immune systems are weakening. Well, the immune system is ruled by Neptune. It's boundaries. And when you have the Sun, Moon, Venus, Mars, Mercury aspecting Neptune, you have a weak immune system. You've got boundary issues. Yeah, you've got parasites and, everything that can come in, and you can be unaware of other people's boundaries and not even know when you're invading somebody else's space. You know, Mercury, Neptune, you're just talking. You're not consciously aware that the other person doesn't want to listen. You know what I mean? It's like, oh my God. I mean, Neptune, it's very innocent. You know, Neptune's just like, oh, you know, we're all one, and we're all interested in the same thing, and so let's all talk about it. You know. Anyway, so, but you get this kind of, this kind of energy here with this, these boundaries, and what they're doing is that, they're breaking down, they're dissipating, which does also lead to what? Overwhelm. You're more sensitive than you used to be, so, if everything is bigger than it used to be. And so there is this sense in so many people's lives these days that it's all too much. I can't take it anymore. I'm out the window of inner flow. I mean, it's just, if you are a therapist or you're an astrologer or you're a healer of any sort, you've got job security. Everybody's losing it. I mean, everybody's getting, it's like, whether it's allergies, or their relationships, or, their work and their stress. I mean, everybody is just like, right? I mean, it's just like, shoo. So, this time period, is also, like I say, so we have these ahrimanic forces that are seeking to densify, close us off from the spiritual world, and just so that humanity finds its fulfillment and success, and the goal is all about material, physical immortality, or success, or whoever has the most toys when they die wins. The mentality of just materialism. This is a time of facing materialism. Boom. you know, like, and this is the difference between profane and sacred. Profane is life without spirit. Yeah, profane sexuality, sex without spirit or soul. You know, just physical, you know, orgasm. Scorpio, sacred sexuality. Tantra, sex with spirit, right? So, you know, there's sacred and profane. And in some ways, we can say that these are the two forces at work these days. And here we are, and we're constantly choosing one or the other, the materialistic or the spiritual, you know, the profane or the sacred, you know, the money or the love, or, you know, I don't want to draw that. It's not necessarily that polarity. Sometimes, you know, but you get this sense that we're really being pulled in these opposite directions. And I would say that 75% at least of the world's population is being persuaded through advertising, through newspapers, through mainstream media, over towards the profane, towards the materialistic, towards the scientific, towards the pharmaceutical drugs, towards you know, the digital currency, towards submitting to you know, the demands and mandates of, you know, the groups, versus realizing their own unique individual creative genius. And so it's up to the 25%, okay? You know, it's up to the individuals that are self-starters, that are self-thinkers, that are aware of spiritual worlds, that have a spiritual practice, that are doing their breath work or their yoga or their meditations or their white magic, or, you know, all these different ways and means, even plant medicine, or, you know, ceremonies, you know, full moon, new moon. I mean, there are just so many sacred sexuality, so many ways and means of connecting our ego and our physical, emotional bodies with our subtle, astral, spiritual bodies, which in turn are connected to higher spiritual energies, influences, intelligences of a cosmic nature. And this is where Saturn comes in. So Saturn is now in Pisces. Saturn went into Pisces in March. It's closing its 28-year cycle that began what? If it's 26, we would say probably like 2002, 2003 or something. It went into Aries. And this is the next 3 years. We're focusing in now, and we're saying, okay, here's Saturn, the Lord of karma, form, structure, time, duty, discipline, consequences, commitment. All these are the key words for Saturn. Wherever Saturn goes through your chart, whatever house it's in, whatever planets it's aspecting, it's where you are now growing up. Saturn is the force of maturity. If you have anything from 0 to 8 degrees of Pisces, 0 to 8 degrees of Virgo, 0 to 8 degrees of Gemini, 0 to 8 degrees of Sagittarius, you are getting a Saturn transit. And Saturn says, get your shit together. Sorry for the French. But you know what? Saturn says, decide. Choose. You set a goal, and you take what you need from where you are that's going to reach that goal. Where you want to be 7, 14, 21, or 28 years from now, it's time to think ahead, and it's time to cut your losses, cut your liabilities. Maybe somebody has been your friend for 28 years, and they've helped you get to where you are today, but they're not going to help you get to where you want to be 28 years from now, it's time to say goodbye. Yeah? This is a time of breaking contracts, of breaking commitments, of breaking relationships, of leaving relationships, leaving jobs, leaving home, leaving countries, leaving families. When you've got Saturn coming around and it's hitting, triggering probably like your sun or your moon, definitely your ascendant, Venus and Mars, etc. The personal, what we call the personal planets. The personal planets is the sun, moon, Mercury, Venus, and Mars. Yeah? And the ascendant is a personal point. If Saturn is aspecting, if you have one of those planets or that point, or the moon's nodes, in these early degrees of the mutable signs, you are getting this time period now where, and Saturn just simply is no. It's boundaries. It's time to say no. No more of this, no more of that. I've had enough. It's stop. It's and it's time to commit. Commit to what? This is the challenge. Commit to Pisces? Oh my God. That's committing to nothing because Pisces is nothing. I mean, Pisces is spirit. Pisces is nothing. It's the void, but it's everything. It's infinity. It's infinite potential. So what I say is, this is a time, and it's really something, because let's look at Neptune and Pisces also as the collective unconscious. And this collective unconscious, it rules movies, novels, romance stories. It's like what everybody wants. It rules fashion, right? Design. It's like it's living in the subterranean realm, and everybody wants shorts that aren't short anymore. Everybody wants high heels that are, not high anymore. Fashion just kind of comes out of nowhere and then goes out of nowhere, right? And like movies and themes for movies and things, they come out of nowhere and then they go into nowhere. So this is just like it's this collective unconscious that's always kind of shifting and changing with new fantasies and new dreams, and things are bubbling up, okay, from way down in the substratum of the collective unconscious, and they're coming up to the surface through Neptune, Pisces, and the 12th house. And so what this has to do with, okay, is what? Well, Pisces is such a spectrum of energy. It's like a rainbow that has every color. And it goes from the highest mystical nirvana, samadhi experience all the way down to the drug addict, homeless, hungry, deceitful, lying, cheating bastard on this, wherever, yeah? I mean, it is this whole spectrum, okay? And that whole spectrum has a couple of things in common. And those couple of things in common is that they really don't fit into the physical world. Pisces and Aquarius, the 11th and the 12th signs, these are the cosmic signs. It's where I started out, right? So, Aquarius is outer space and extraterrestrial intelligence. And here we come into Pisces, which is just love. And it's dreams. No time, no space. No right, no wrong. We're all one. Quantum physics, like I talked about. And so it rules what? Neptune rules escapism, denial, avoidance, all forms of addiction that want to take us out of this cold, cruel, harsh world of separation and material time and space. Neptune just wants love, infinite love of all things. I mean, the dogs and the cats. I mean, especially. And the flowers. Don't forget the flowers. Don't forget the flowers. We can't have a workshop with no, where's the incense and the oil and all the things that, make life life. I mean, it's just, so it is, it's this whole thing of, and it's the innocent, sensitive, beautiful angel being that just, gives you the shirt off their back and all, gives big tips and all the money, goes out. They don't care about the food in their fridge or it's just give, it's egolessness. It's selflessness. Yeah? So what happens is when Saturn comes in here, it comes in like a pin to your balloon. Like pop, because it's illusions. And Saturn is reality, time, space, third dimensional reality. So it's the end of illusions. This is the end of, guess what? You can no longer avoid, deny, ignore, pretend, hide your head in the sand. We've got 3 years now of Saturn moving through Pisces, which also rules what? Hospitals and institutions. Mental institutions, physical institutions. This is going to jails and prisons. Okay, this is the place, okay, where yes, you are a number. You have lost your ability to navigate this material physical world. So, this is going to be a time period here where we just kind of say it's the end of illusion. And people who are living, okay, in illusions, some call it Wetiko, the Wetiko book by Paul, I forget his name, but it's this kind of this mass psychosis, yes, where they still believe the newspapers, they still believe the government, they still believe the advertisements, they still believe the corporations, they still believe, Facebook or Elon Musk or, they still believe these, people that, are not just people, but, institutions. They believe in the dream. They're innocent. Yeah? And they don't really want to, face this collective unconscious which holds within it everything that mankind has dumped. I don't want to look at that. I don't want to feel that. I don't want to think about that. I don't want to see that. Where does it go? In some ways, the collective unconscious is the human trash bin. So whenever a planet goes through Pisces or goes through your 12th house, it's ending, finishing, closing, completing a cycle. And in order to end, finish, close, and complete a cycle, it needs to address everything that has been ignored or denied. Right? It's got to erase the chalkboard. We have to finish this up. We have to clean it up. We have to tie up all the loose ends. So we're all tying up loose ends, particularly loose ends from 2013. Yeah? From 2013 to 2027. We could say 2012. Really, 2012, I think, is when Saturn came into kind of like the full moon, right? So 2012, and then you've got 14 years later, right? 14 and 12 is 26. And this is when Saturn is going to finish its cycle. So what we have is, you could take 2012 and go back to 1998. From 1998 to 2012, we inwardly, subjectively, personally worked, to really get our lives or our truth or ourselves together. And then since 2012, it's been more of a social process having to do with relationships, partnerships, integrating ourselves
to participate within a greater whole. Now, this greater whole, okay, is demanding, is expecting. Okay, it's like now it's time for us to step into the role, and here's where it gets dangerous. Because this Neptune Pisces energy can also be the savior rescuer. We have to be very careful, okay, so that we are doing our spiritual work and we are serving and we are healing and we are channeling and we're really connecting the worlds, okay, but without, okay, the old way of Pisces. The old way of Pisces is the old age of Pisces. And who brought in the age of Pisces but a martyr? Yeah? We have, this understanding of service, right? That if we're going to serve, if we're going to heal, if we are philanthropists or we are helpers, or if we're spiritual, we have to be a martyr. We have to sacrifice. We have to lose. We have to give up. We have to, just deny ourselves. Yeah? And so, we have this old mentality of Pisces, the old mentality of, oh, I can't make money if I'm doing workshops or I'm not spiritual. Right, or I can't make money as, if I charge too much for my massage, or my therapy, I'm not spiritual. I mean, there's all kinds of, judgments, around how to serve, how to heal, how to give, and what is spiritual. And so Saturn coming through Pisces now is saying, okay, it's time to mature, to be responsible, to show up for each other, and to really be, right, a channel, an instrument of love, or an instrument of spirit, to really be a medium between worlds. But that does not mean to lose, your ego, or to lose your sense of self, or to be a doormat, or to enable people, or to just be stepped on, or be a scapegoat, or be, so it's time for us to really be spiritual warriors. Yeah? To where, yes, it's tough love, we could say. Saturn is tough, and Pisces is love. This is really a time where we need to engage. And what else is Saturn? Saturn is perseverance and endurance and commitment. Well, we are going to be needing to persevere. We are going to be needing to endure. I'll tell you what, these next 3 years, I am seeing as being like the birth canal, where we are being squeezed, we are being challenged, okay, and to really stand as a spiritual person with a spiritual practice and a spiritual life, and face, it's almost like the Christians in the catacombs of Rome or something, it's almost like, there will be ridicule. You're a nut. There's no such thing. I mean, it's all robots. It's all artificial intelligence. It's all, there's no such thing. I mean, there is really this whole kind of, and it's almost completely unspoken, that the computers have the answers, that artificial intelligence is going to, and this idea of meditating, or stilling the mind and building the magnetic field of the heart, which is stronger than the magnetic field of the brain, and really listening to the voice within. I mean, this is like, it's becoming less and less and less and less knowledgeable, popular. Yoga has turned into exercise. They don't even meditate at the end. I mean, the yoga is to prepare the body to meditate. Well, they do the yoga, but they don't meditate. So it's like, what are you doing? You missed the point, So I mean, this, it's really this descent into materialism. I'm saying is at its absolute peak, yeah, and this peak is coming through Saturn moving through Pisces. And so where do I see this going? What's going on? Well, I'll tell you, in the long run, what I see happening is the great shift. Yes, I will say, first of all, Saturn comes in, and I think it is in July of 2025. Neptune has moved into Aries, and Saturn comes very close. Doesn't exactly conjunct it before Saturn goes retrograde. And then in April of 26, Saturn comes into a conjunction with Neptune at 1 degree of Aries. At that, very near that same time, the planet Uranus has moved out of Taurus into Gemini. Chiron has moved out of Aries into Taurus, and Pluto has moved over here into Aquarius. You see this big shift of 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. All 5 of the outer planets, which are connected to the unconscious, are all shifting signs at the same time. And this is in 2025. And by 2026, in April of 2026, Pluto is at 4 degrees of Aquarius, Neptune is at 4 degrees of Aries, and Uranus is at 4 degrees of Gemini. We have a beautiful trine, yes? For the first time in a long time, we have a Uranus trine Pluto. Uranus has been, Neptune has been sextile Pluto for, 100 years or so. I mean, these two have just been really in sextile for everybody on planet Earth today. We all have Pluto sextile Neptune. But Uranus moving into sextile Neptune and trine Pluto is, to me, this big shift. And what is the big shift from? Well, Pluto's moving out of Earth into air, okay? Uranus is moving out of Earth into air. And so we will have this shift, okay, of, like the Earth signs, Capricorn and Taurus, have really been getting a lot of, this evolutionary change and transformation. So it's been very, unstable, and, the physical, financial, our bodies and our bank accounts and our food and our money and, our sexuality and everything has really been, going through these shifts that are going to shift to air, Aquarius and Gemini. Okay, I mean, it's just going to be, I feel, right, like so much easier, so much lighter, so much, like more on the thought plane, yes, than actually scaring the poop out of us. Like what's happening next, in the physical, in the physical world. So I do see this as really, like I say, this time period of Saturn moving through Pisces, okay, the rest of 23, all of 24, and all of 25. These are the challenging times. And then I think the sine wave is going to curve,
and we're going to start going back up again. So we're at kind of the bottom of the curve right now. This is the, this is like, we're just darn near about as low as we're going to go before things are going to start to turn upward. Yeah? And I say that also not just because of those things, but particularly the next couple of months. This summer is very huge. Because I say that because, and we want to talk about this tonight particularly because you can see this is what they call a grand cross. Yes? When you take Jupiter and the moon's nodes, the moon's nodes are now at 3 degrees and they go retrograde. This is the north node, this is the south node. They move about a degree a month, okay? So here we have, 3 degrees, 2, 1, 0. Okay, by the time it comes around in July, yes, these are at 29 Aries, 29 Libra, and Pluto is at exactly 29 of Capricorn. This is Pluto square the moon's nodes. Okay, now this is a signal in evolutionary astrology, which is, one of the things I studied with Jeffrey Wolf Green. Okay, Pluto, this force of evolution, when it squares the moon's nodes, the dragon head and the dragon tail, okay, this is Pluto, the key word for Pluto is intense. Intense. Scorpio, Pluto, the 8th house people. And what does intensity do? Okay, intensity, is this force that really, it's like the pressure cooker or the hot water heater where they have the valve that blows. Okay, it's like intensity makes us face, makes us feel, makes us look at the shadow, at things we don't want to address, decide, or feel, or look at, yeah? So this time period, whenever you have planets square the moon's nodes in your natal birth chart, these are called skipped steps. These are evolutionary, like massive, major life crossroads that need to be dealt with before you can move on to the north node. So this is the south node is the dragon's tail. It's the past. And we want to let go of the past and move to the future. But whenever a planet like Mars this week and Pluto this for the next 6 months, really, Pluto's really square these nodes right now. Okay, it's only they're 4 degrees away. 4 degrees is a square, okay? And it's going to carry on all through October, I would say. From now till October, Pluto is in square to these nodes. And what Pluto says when it's square the moon's nose is that there is a teeter-totter back and forth that's been going on long enough. And it is crucial for the soul to decide. And that decision is going to involve letting go of the past. This can be friendships, money, jobs, security, identity. I mean, just, in order to go forward, it's almost just like walking. Okay, I mean, here's the south node. Here's my north node. And in order for me to get to my north node, guess what I have to do? I have to let go of that south node if I am going to move into the future, right? So it's like we can't take it with us. we can't take the past and bring it into the future. We have to create this new future, so it involves this release. So I will say that this is the summer of release. This is the summer of, okay, I want to go in a new direction,
And in order to go in that new direction, I need to let go of my, what has been holding me back. And I think that this is where it really becomes necessary to, look at your chart. You have to look at your chart. I mean, you can meditate. You can pray. There's lots of different ways of identifying. I mean, the main thing that Pluto and Scorpio deals with is loss, betrayal, and abandonment. And the thing is that this force of evolution, Pluto, works in one of four ways. Yeah? And the four ways are, number one, if there's no resistance to change in evolution, then you remember things from past lives. Capacities, talents, things that have developed, it can actually, when Pluto comes around, it can actually bestow tremendous amounts of power and wealth. Pluto's the richest god. So you can actually have a Pluto transit where, yes, your whole life is completely transformed because you just won the lottery. I mean, it's huge, right? So Pluto is power. The second way is through relationship and partnership. Someone comes into your life and your life is no longer the same. They're coming from your past lives or they're coming from your future, and they are here to transform your entire reality. So a Pluto transit can also involve, a new relationship or the death of an existing relationship. And the death of the existing relationship often comes through betrayal, abandonment, or just loss, sometimes even death. Yeah? So this can be a time, and of course we know there's all kinds of people dying. I mean, the death rate, has just gone up, and they're going in the hospital, and they're, using remdesivir to kill them even faster. I mean, what's going on there? It's like you don't want to go to the hospital. I mean, in most countries, where I've been, it's very dangerous. Once you get in there, you can't get out, and they start throwing all kinds of stuff at you that is your end. So anyway, the third way, yes. So we have a past life recall. We have relationship or partnership. Then we have this whole sense that what? Stagnation. Your life becomes stagnant, like dead end, like the walls are closing in, the ceiling is coming down. You can't take this job one more day, this relationship one more day. You can't take Athens one more day. You've had it with Greece. You've had it with so-and-so, and you've had it with this, and you've had it with that. And you just like, and it's like, I've got to make a change or I'm going to die. That's a Pluto transit. It's intense. Oh my God. And then the fourth is where you have the biggest resistance. It's like, even though there's stagnation, it's like, no, I've been a bank teller for 50 years and I'm gonna be a bank teller. What happens? The bank closes. I mean, it completely happens to you, right? And so that is that whatever is blocking, distracting, or stopping your soul evolution has to go. Yeah? Eyes, ears, nose, mouth, job, spouse, house, car, anything that you've overly attached to. Sexually, emotionally, mentally, financially, I can't live without that. Guess what? You can. And life will show you. Right? I mean, so Pluto can also come through. And so this is happening now on a global level. So you will find some people that are, oh my God, I just found like new techniques, or, I'm inventing this, or, blah, 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 I found this new way to make money, or I'm doing a new business, or da, 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 that's the first, right? The second is, oh God, I just met somebody and nothing's ever going to be the same. And oh my God, that's the second one. And the third one is you'll find these other people that are going, I'm going to die. I'm going to die. I'm going to die. This is terrible. This is terrible. What's going on? I don't know what to do. I'm just stuck. I'm just lost. And stagnation, right? And then you're going to find a lot of other people that are just experiencing loss. I lost my job. I lost my spouse. I lost my house. I lost my, so we can expect over these next 6 months, that there's going to be, I would say it's almost like a jolt, like move on, a kick in the butt, change, take the leap, jump off that cliff. So this is, this is really, and it, whether it's the Ukraine, the whole war, or, the global economy, or, we can see that, over these next few months, it's going to get very, very intense. Now, in addition to that, or we could say besides that, and what I'm very excited about is, and I think I said it in the Pele Report, the summer of love. Heck yeah, baby. Because here's the other thing that's happening. Jupiter is going into Taurus from now until May of 24. It's going to be a year in Taurus. Jupiter is the principle of expansion and opportunity, right? And it's coming through possessions, money, self-love, the ability to receive, sexual gratification, procreation. This Jupiter in Taurus can be a lot of fun. Yeah. This is just like, yes, I see things, things really getting, very beautiful. It's ruled by Venus. It's, it's like, chocolate cake. So anyway, besides that, what else happens? Venus is shooting through Cancer, and by June 10th, she goes into Leo, where Mars is, okay? And she's moving faster, but, she goes around once a year, and Mars goes around once every 2 years. So Mars goes slower than Venus, usually, but not this summer. No siree. This is a special summer where Venus wants to get together with Mars. Yeah. And from June 10th, right? June 10th, she starts to slow down, and they start going just about the same speed. And they are together within 4 degrees, okay? All through from like June 25th to July 10th. They are traveling together, side by side, a little bit, maybe, I don't know who's on top. But they're, well, Venus is closer. We'll put her on top. So, and then, okay, and then by, then Mars, okay, goes into Virgo, and Venus goes up to 28, and she says, oh no, Leo is too much fun. I'll see you later. She's going to go back. Yeah, to the heart of the lion, baby. And Mars is going to keep on going through Virgo, okay? And so so Venus stays in Leo until October 10th. June 6th to October 10th in the sign of the Sun. This is a very creative, enjoyable. Leo is romance, risk-taking, gambling, fun, enjoy. It's creative expression, new businesses, new artwork, it's just like, wow, it's great. It's great. However, there are some, bugs in the ointment, And one of the bugs in that ointment is going to be, when is it? It's July 23rd. It just so happens to be my birthday. I can't frickin' believe it. But what happens is what? Mars, we said, came into Virgo, right? Comes into this opposition with Saturn at the same time that the Sun has moved into an exact opposition with Pluto, squaring these moon's nodes, right? So you've got Sun, Pluto, Mars, Saturn, T-square with the nodes. Oh my God. That's going to be, yeah. So in general, you know, the 23rd, 22nd, 23rd. In general, what we want to say is, you know, different signs are getting it, you know, and the signs that are getting it now, I would say, is the fixed signs, early degrees, are getting Pluto and the moon's nodes, and this week they're getting Mars. Yeah, you know, this is this is kind of where the focal point is right now. You can see this is a grand square. Yeah, Pluto node, Mars node, Pluto. That grand square is, like I say, it's going to be in effect, you know, very much so this week as Mars moves through these early degrees, okay, of Leo. And the mantra that I said for the, you know, for the Pele Report this week is what? It's like I have to find a creative outlet. I have to create an outlet for my passion-filled desire as I can warm up the house or burn it down, right, if I can't control my fire. This is Mars moving into Leo. Mars will be in Leo, okay, until the end, I think it's July 10th. Yeah? And this is a fire planet in a fire sign, and Mars is the lower octave of Pluto. So like right now, this weekend, and especially with this new moon, you know, this new moon at the it's 28 degrees, 52 minutes of Taurus is this new moon that's happening tomorrow, right? And this is setting, you know, it's just like setting the tone, okay, for what is Mars? Mars is I act, I do, I will. It's our will force. And that will force is the masculine sword that cuts its way into the future. Whether it's a scalpel, the bow of the boat, a machete, the whole idea of Mars is penetrate into the new and the unknown. Cut the cords and go forward. So this is a time where, and when you've got Pluto opposite Mars, right? Mars is, this is just like, it just got a huge blast of energy from the root chakra. This is Kundalini. So we have this Kundalini engaged with our solar plexus. It's almost like we're unstoppable, like, and then you put the square to Jupiter, right? Jupiter just going into Taurus now, okay? And then this is why I say we have to control it, because Jupiter can just be too much. It's too much. And you can have too much of a good thing and it's not good anymore, you know? You can overcommit, overspend, overreact, you know, overeat, overdrink, over anything, and suddenly what was a good time is not good at all. That's where we say you can either warm up the house or burn it down. If you don't, you know, if you don't control your fire, if you don't control your will, if you don't like really use your consciousness, you know, for the highest virtuous gain, this could be a time where you just be, you know, like greed, lust, you know, conquering, selfishness, you know, just this whole energy around, you know, Jupiter in Taurus is more, me, my, more, you know, gimme, 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 gimme. I mean, this can be a power grab. This can be a land grab. This could be war. This could be like, you know what, we're going to take the Ukraine. You know, or you know, we're going to take your money. Or we're going to take your da-da-da-da. I mean, so, you know, this is, you know, I just want to say that we want to see this
and be aware, because, through consciousness, we can, we can direct, our will force, with greater consciousness, which will then give us a better outcome. And of course, I could keep going all night. But I see you sat down next to me. It must be a sign.
Go on. It's almost 9. I think it's almost 9. Yeah.
Oh no, we got all weekend, right? We're going to be going on, and we're going to be looking at everybody's individual charts and see where these transits are, what's going on with you personally. And so this is just kind of an overtone. But if there's any questions or anything that I missed or anything that you want to contribute or know more about, we have a little bit more time before we close. Did you get an idea of what the heck is going on? That was the title of the talk. I hope I wasn't too confusing, because it's hard to narrow it down because there's so much going on. It's like, where do you want to put your focus? And I just really wanted to say that the best place to focus, from my perspective, is to not get lost in materialism, to not lose our spiritual sight, our spiritual practice, the idea that our heart is the center, that love is our primary, it is the greatest force in the universe, is love. And to really maintain that through, it's almost like it's getting attacked, right now. Our hearts are getting attacked. It's like, social distancing and, loneliness is now, I just read this article, there's an epidemic. Loneliness is the new epidemic. There's an epidemic of loneliness. There's like 80% of the population is lonely. And so this separation, is what I'm saying. It's a coordinated attack on humanity. This isn't just, if you study astrology long enough, there's no such thing as an accident. There's no accidents going on here. There's unconsciousness. And when we are unconscious of things, then somebody else will decide for us if we don't decide. So this is a real time of, decisions.
Can I ask something on that? Okay, so the last few years I've noticed that, as you say now, that we have certain events, whether it be announcements or deaths or coronations or births, that are on specific points, squares, conjunctions, new moons. Do they do these announcements or whatever are happening or events unconsciously, or do those forces that control whatever our fates are, whether they are politicians or do they know or study or astrology, do they use it for their own benefit?
Well, there's a quote by J.P. Morgan. Do you know J.P. Morgan? He kind of started the banking. He was one of the main people that started the banking system. And he says, millionaires don't believe in astrology. Billionaires do. You can bet, for sure, that these people are very much aware of astrology, of the cycles, of what is the proper timing for releasing viruses, the proper timing for releasing digital currency, the proper timing. This is all, because this all started, it all began with the Jupiter-Saturn-Pluto conjunction. This was the Great Reset. The astrologers all the astrologers talked about 2020 as being the Great Reset.
I was talking about in like 2015, 16, 17, probably the last time I was here. I said, you know what, in 2020, there's going to be a Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction, and the last one of those was in 1894 BC. 4,000 years ago was the last time we had a Jupiter, Saturn, Pluto conjunction in Capricorn. So, we knew this. We knew the Great Reset was coming. I mean, this is not, this. So, and sure enough, they knew it too, because they, I mean, so it's all. I think it's all very, consciously driven.
What I'm worried about is this hindering the connection between the spiritual world through all those, vaccines and everything they've tried to push us to go through with. So how can we, work on that?
I mean, I definitely want. I mean, I encourage people to just like, and even my daughter. I mean, I got kids that are, that got the vax, but it is to stay in this in nature, and the natural. It's the same with the transgender. The idea of becoming addicted to hormones for the rest of your life, or mutilating your body, taking these mRNA vaccines, all these artificial. Whether it's putting a chip in your finger so you don't need a password anymore. They're coming in with more invasive and more invasive and more invasive technology, whether it's pharmaceutical or technological or computer or and the idea is to like maintain, and this is Taurus. Uranus and Taurus, Jupiter and Taurus. This is maintain a connection to nature. Nature is the wisdom keeper. Nature is our teacher, and I mean, I know this is a city. I encourage you to get out of it as much as you can, as often as you can, and as fast as you can. Cities are definitely going to be, where things get the worst, when it comes to food and water and, supplies and everything like that. When, over these next few years here, and of course surveillance. They're doing the 15-minute cities and, putting up cameras all over the place. And I mean, the cities are going to, what they're trying to do is actually, they're herding people into the cities. They're buying up the country, the land, the nature to preserve it. And they're herding people into the cities so that they, so that this can be part of the, I mean, there's a depopulation. Part of the intention here is to, slow the birth rate, kill off the weak and the old and the, unproductive, and lower the population on the. I mean, these guys have a plan. It's just that their plan is not human, and their plan has no love, and so it's not healthy. So I encourage people to stay away from the shots. And there are I also have protocols for those who have taken the shots to get rid of the metals and the mRNA, and you can through different protocols you can cleanse yourself. They just came out with it. For a long time they were saying that we're very sorry, but there is no way to to go back. But now they're saying that there is. So that's the good news. Yeah.
Where do we find these protocols?
On his website.
On my website. Yeah. And better even to email me, because there's some brand new ones that I don't have up on the website yet.
I don't speak English, but I want to ask you if love is going to win.
Wow. I mean, that's I think so. And really because love is multidimensional. Polarization, this whole separation, this whole, which allows for hate and competition and, violence and everything this is only happening, in the first three dimensions. And the science has proven 13 dimensions. And when we get outside the third dimension, we get outside of time and space. We get out of love, hate. And it's not a polarity. There is only the law of one, that what is. And one of the first laws of creation is that, what it is. All that is all that is, and there's nothing outside of all that is. And that is basically love. Love is unity. Love is union. Love is oneness. And everything that is in existence has a purpose in coming into existence and is connected to everything else in existence. But that's kind of a, how do we say, there's different octaves or expressions of love. I'm talking about Neptune, Pisces, spiritual love. Venus is the lower octave of Neptune. It's personal love. So even when we talk about love, okay, there's different expressions of that, of that love. So I was just giving, I was giving more like the Neptune spiritual, that we are all connected and we are all one. And the Maya of the illusion of separation is a temporary human experience. That was a lot of English. But you know more English than I know Greek. That's for sure. Oh my goodness. All right, everybody. Thank you so much for coming and listening. And, we create a container and we invite spirit, and where two or more are gathered, spirit is with us. And so, you being here is what helped me to transmit. Yeah, very good. So let's just close our eyes, take a couple of deep breaths together.